Welcome to Channel AMAC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Karl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insights. Now, exciting year of 2023, isn't it? We have just got into, I think, this first week that everybody in Australia has returned back to work. So we have seen a lot of visa grants and the process is continuing to roll out. Now, yesterday I have received this, just read this news from SBS. It's quite interesting. Now, remember, back couple of weeks ago, just before the new year, there was news talking about there was the committee from the tourism and the transport pointed out the idea that the working holiday visa should increase its age limit to 50. Wow, that was a joke, isn't it? Probably not. But let's see what's happening, because there seems to be a wave and request from in and outside of the department. Perhaps it will really increase the age limit, but I don't think 50 is gonna be the age limit. It will be more likely around 35 or 40. But anyway, let's have a look what the news is talking about. Okay, so let's jump in there. This is from SBS News. You may want to Google this. You may find this out as well. It came out on the 9th of January, 6:52 a.m. early in the morning. And the title says, "Will Australia introduce backpacker visa for people aged over 35?" Now, interesting that it's a news following up what the committee of the tourism and transport. So there's definitely something is going on, because the news media, the journalists, they won't follow stuff if there's nothing really going on. And anyway, so thousands of young people flock to Australia each year working holiday visa program. Now there's a push to increase age limit to 50 to help fill the work shortage. Now, personally, again, I don't think 50 will be the number, but I think 40 will be something more likely, or perhaps pushing every country, passport holder of countries to 35, perhaps, because currently there's only few countries that you apply for working holiday visa. The age limit is 35, and most of them are still in the age of 30. So again, here we go. So Elaine Home came to Australia at 23, and has been a lot of successful experiences of people coming all around the world with working holiday program, and they are either 30, 20, about 2030s. There is really limited number of people getting age limit up to about 40 or something like that. So, and bear in mind, there has been with the former government, there has been a further extension for working holiday makers, but whether or not they probably just want more people. But would this actually increase the age limit, actually create trouble or problem to the program of? We will have to, I mean, the government of Australia, with any government administration, will require to have scrutinize, because once the program's open, would it actually create more problem and troubles to the industry and also to the economy of Australia? Because once you've done it, if you wanted to restrict it back, it's harder, right? So they have to consider all that. So anyway, let's have a read of this. It says Australian border closure and the visa program backlog meant that they waited for 18 months to learn that working holiday visa application just being approved. Now, that was last year. Okay, so currently we believe that the working holiday maker program will only take less than a week. Sometimes in days you get the visa done. So last month at age 32, Ms. Holmes finally returned to Australia and now plan to spend the year exploring the country. So push for the age limit. Let's have a look, as the table down here actually shows with numbers of different countries. So if you're from Belgium, You can apply working holiday visa well before you turn 31. In Canada 35. So age limit, as you can see, there's only a couple countries that you can actually apply working holiday visa with the age limit to 35. This is more of a diplomatic. It's bilateral. What does that mean? So working holiday visa started with a diplomatic agreement between country and country. So if A country agree to B country that I'm allowing your citizen at the age of 18 to 30 to come to our country to do the working holiday program, then vice versa. Then the B country will actually allow A country's citizen between age of 18 to 30 to actually travel over to that country. So if they were to change this, perhaps, well, this is what I learned. I'm not too sure whether they can actually break these rules, because that's the rule that's been set up for many countries for 20 years about the working holiday maker program. So as you can see, Canada, Canadian can actually come whilst between the age of 18 and 35. So as Australian between the age of 18 and 35 can apply working holiday maker program to go to Canada. So it's a bilateral agreement between the country, if I'm not wrong. So there's only a few: Denmark, France, Ireland, Italy, and that's it. That's only a few that they can actually do within the 35. So UK and Northern Ireland, because they are currently on the free trade agreement. I think they were gonna pass that very, very soon. But again, most of the countries, they are between 18 and 30. Okay, so whether or not they're gonna do it, it requires not just the Department of Immigration, but requires the DFAT, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trades, to actually contact the corresponding country that they will actually agree and allow that to happen. Okay, because for instance, this I don't think that's gonna be that easy. For instance, country A might not want so many of their people to actually, get out of the country and then go to the other country to actually work there, because that would trigger a major economic issue as well. And if you increase the age limit, some country will be not really beneficial, because all their people will actually go. I mean, for Australia, it needs people, we understand, but the corresponding country we also have that problem. If a lot of numbers of these people come to Australia, that means they had less labor in their country. So it's more about exchange. So you may learn some country, for example, China and also Indonesia, their working holiday program is under subclass 462 rather than 417 as same as all the other one, because they requires the source country, the origin of that country, to actually allow, and they have quota. Okay, they don't just apply and they get it. It's not unlimited. They have a quota there. So there's a different kind of issue that occurs within the actual working holiday visa program. It's not just the Department of Immigration itself could actually make that decision, because that is bounded with the bilateral diplomatic agreement between different nations. Despite that, obviously Australia wants all of them to come with age limit raised up, but perhaps the corresponding country might not want that to be happening, because most of the young people and the skilled people actually leave. That's not too good for them, isn't it? And they also need to calculate how the Australians corresponding, how Australian will perhaps, I mean, if you're age 50, an Australian citizen, do you want to go to Europe? Perhaps. Do you want to go to Hong Kong? Do you want to go to Taiwan and work there as working holiday maker? Perhaps not, because the salary that you earn is not as much as you can get locally. So you see, that's just not really equal. And the working holiday maker program was designed more for the youngsters, the young people, to actually have that more of the exchanging programs between the two different nations, so that the once these young people they grow up, they can bring more cultural beneficial between the two nations, or multi nations. So that was the aim in designing working holiday program back then. So again, why do I say all this? Because, well, this is the framework. So it's not just for tourism or transport committee to come out from Australia and say, look, let's just raise it up. But what about, see, there are 47 countries participating on this. Now, imagine that 47 countries, all of them will agree to this? Perhaps not, despite the cost is minimal, but diplomatic solutions, I don't think that is the way to go. So anyway, that's what they're basically trying to say. I think a more what should I say, a more convenient way to actually make people to come to Australia to work better is to simplify its employment sponsor visa program back to where it was in the subclass 457, rather than try to twist working holiday maker program. It may seem pretty easy, but then once you remember what they this triggers my memory back. Remember, former government of Australia was trying to introduce the agriculture visa, trying to it's also a diplomatic visa exchanging, but then the new government came in and basically scrapped that, because it's actually not that easy. Now, the visa may sound pretty simple for everybody to understand. Well, come to Australia to work as agricultural workers and things, but between the nation, the other side of the country, the corresponding country, might not think that's a good idea, because they want their citizen to stay in their country to work for them rather than going out to work for someone else. What about the producer of that nation, right? So it's a diplomatic thing. Again, it's not that easy. I think see, if we read these paragraphs, it says the path to permanent migration. So obviously a lot of people are seeking for pathway to stay permanently in Australia. So again, now working holiday visa do not have a pathway to permanent migration, because if they do, now what about the corresponding country? They will say, all right, so all the Aussies come to Canada and work for numbers of years, you become Canadian permanent resident. Well, is that right to do? Well, so again, I think it's more what should I say, practical in the business sense to actually utilize the simplify the current employment sponsor visa, rather than talking about the working holiday maker program. Although there is a migration system under review, I'm not too sure whether they have actually looked, or this journalist has actually looked into the framework of how the working holiday maker program was started and how it was designed. But writing all this, I'm not too sure that how that will actually work. But anyway, I think raising the age limit is a good idea. It's a good idea. Put everybody back to age limit of 35, rather than some with 30, some with 35, but put it 50. I don't think so. I think the corresponding country in a diplomatic solution that will not become a result, or that will not agree by the other side of the country. For example, Belgium, will they agree that the Aussie age of 49, an Australian age of 49 go to Denmark and work there? Perhaps not, right? And with those kind of age, do they get superannuation and all the health cares and things? So it will become really complicated, despite the idea to raise the working holiday maker program's age limit further onwards. But I think to actually change it is actually quite hard. Anyway, should you have more question, query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. And I see you next video. Goodbye.